Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another breakfast chat. And today we're going to talk about a really outdated concept that needs to go away, and that's somatotypes. And it's shocking after this has been so heavily debunked in the science, and it's known to be complete pseudoscience, not based on anything real, that people still continue to discuss it as if it's real and write articles about it and say, hey, if you're this body type, you need to eat or train differently. Okay, that's completely ludicrous. And what do we mean by that? Ectomorphs, endomorphs, and mesomorphs, they don't actually exist. Now, people will say, no, Jason, because I see people who fit these body types. No, what you see are fat people, you see skinny people, and you see people who work out a lot. That's actually what you're seeing. All right? And if any of those people change their lifestyle, they become a different somatotype. In other words, they are not based upon this is some predisposition and it's genetics. It's based upon lifestyle. And we're not saying genetics don't influence certain things, because they do, but it doesn't determine which of those categories you were in a vacuum. In other words, your environment and your lifestyle is what determines it. And ironically, there are people out there who are all three extremes at different points in their lives. There are people who have been really skinny, really skinny undereaters. Actually, I'm an example. I'm an example of having been all three body types through my life. And a lot of people don't realize that. I was extremely skinny and underweight as a kid because I actually had major inner ear problems. I got sick a lot as a result of it. I had to have multiple inner ear surgeries and stuff, and I was, as a child, extremely skinny and underweight, hyperactive. And again, it affected my appetite. Once I became a teenager, my appetite went way up. I started getting hungry all the time. I got fat. And then, of course, you guys have seen me when I'm more muscular and leaner at different points. Okay, but it's not just this automatic, this is your body type. And I'm not even close to the most extreme examples. You can look at some serious athletes. Look at a lot of the strongmen that are out there of how they've changed back and forth. Eddie Hall, Thor, these guys have gotten really fat to where people will say, oh, well, they're clearly an Mesomorph. And they're only calling them a mesomorph because they lifted weights and worked out and used lots of stuff. Lots of special supplements and lifted really heavy weights for years and years. Because they wouldn't have the muscle if they ate the same and didn't do all that. They would just be enormously fat guys. They carry all this extra body fat. Then they trim down. Like, look at Thor. I saw people say that. Then he trims down. They're like, oh, now he would be a pure mesomorph since he dieted down and kept most of his muscle. He's a really tall guy. He's a really tall, lanky guy naturally, though. Look at his frame. Okay? This is a guy who would have, as a teenager, if he wasn't training in any way, was probably just a really skinny, lanky dude. Same build as a basketball player. Other people look at them and say, oh, they're ectomorphs. No, they have a high activity level, and they don't try to get too big as far as muscle mass goes. The frame is identical. You take the best strongmen, the best NFL players, best NBA players, they all have similar bone structures. They're all tall. That's their bone structure. Similar frames. All good athletic genetics too. But you'll see all three of those body types through there. Even though they're all athletes. But that's what it comes down to. Look, people who are ectomorphs are just undereaters. They don't have a high appetite. That's it. And if they were to eat exactly like the person you're seeing as an endomorph, meaning the lifestyle is identical, they would look exactly like them. If the endomorph, as you're calling it, the fat person, ate like the skinny ectomorph, they would look like them. The person with all the jacked muscle didn't exercise at all, they would fall back into probably one of those two type categories. What you need to understand is that these are lifestyle and environmentally caused. They're not, I'm this one, so I need to follow a certain method the rest of my life based upon the body type. That's ridiculous. Look, if you're not mesomorphic and you want to gain muscle, you need to lift weights. That's it. Do a lot of heavy weightlifting, eat more protein, eat appropriate calories for your goal. If you're really fat, you need to eat less and move more. If you're really skinny, you need to eat more if you don't want to be. That's it. It's lifestyle. And it's not just me saying it, it's been looked at, and we realize when we look at it, and the research has looked at it, somatotypes were not based on real science. They were coming from an area called phrenology, which is a subcategory of psychology that was trying to see if they could determine a person's personality type and temperament. This is actually largely done in prison, by the way, based upon what their body looked like. And they were trying to find an association between a natural personality type and how your body looked. Okay, it's junk science, it's pseudoscience, it's not taken seriously anywhere else ever other than somehow in the fitness world, and particularly the bodybuilding end. But it's not real. Yes, you see people who are muscular, you see people who are fat, and you see people who are skinny. Okay, yes, they exist. That's not some predisposed body type. It's their lifestyle. That's it. It is purely their lifestyle that has caused them to be in one of those three categories, if they're in one at all, and not just normal. I don't know, how do we classify the normal person? A person who's not skinny, who's not fat, and not muscular? I guess they just don't have a body type. I'm not saying average today, we're talking about what's normal. But again, the problem with this is that if it was just left as those three real categories of, hey, there's muscular people, there's skinny people, there's fat people, okay, it wouldn't be an issue. The issue we have is that, again, people in the fitness world try to push it over to, hey, this is your predisposition and you need to work out differently. There have been entire books written on this by supposed experts. And again, it's not based on science. It literally goes, well, you know, if you're whatever these body types, you need to train like this. You need to have a totally different training system, or you need to use a specific rep range. And I'm serious, they write this, that certain rep ranges work best for people in these body types. Certain diets work for people in these body types. Really? That's ludicrous. Again, it's pure conjecture based upon pseudoscience. It's not even a real thing, and them just giving their opinions around it. Okay? Just giving their opinions around it. When in reality, good training and good programming is good training and programming. When it comes to hypertrophy, we know that your total volume and effective reps actually matters more than your rep range. Okay? And your rep range is not going to largely determine your body fat gains or losses either, because we just don't burn that many calories lifting weights. All right, but that's how much they've tried to take it down to. Or that you need a higher or lower carb approach depending upon these. That's insane too. It's completely ludicrous. Completely ludicrous. You could say that the heavier person probably needs less calories. Whether you choose to slash those calories from carbs or fat. In fact, I would argue they probably eat way too much fat in their diet. The skinny undereater probably needs to add more fat to their diet, but why? Because these things affect your calories the most. It's where your real caloric density is. It's because whether you need to create a deficit or a surplus relative to your appetite. But it doesn't have anything to do with a genetic, this is your structure. Because that's what it gets tried to play out. This is your structure. It's not. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.